Okay, folks, we're just going to continue with the regular meeting now. We're going to call to order. So I'll do roll call is Renee O'Donnell, Brian Carlisle, Kurt Giles, and Cindy Grant, and we're all present and accounted for.
Right.
Oh, let's see. We go to public comment?
No, you're gonna recess.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. We have order of business to do here.
We're gonna recess into a public hearing.
Okay. Martha, thank you again for bringing us all the information.
You're very welcome.
Very, very nice
much.
presentation.
Thank you.
There'll probably be some more items later on.
As we uncover them.
Okay, all right.
I hope so. Some real
Quite
good stuff to
literally.
talk
You get your garage
about.
cleaned out yet, Steve?
What's that? Yes. At least it was last time I looked, unless something's grown.
Or another porcupine.
Or another porcupine. All right, we need to open a public hearing on the general assistance ordinance. So do I take a motion to open the hearing?
No, you just open a public
Okay,
hearing.
we're opening a public hearing on the general assistance ordinance.
Do you want me to explain?
Yes, go ahead, take the floor.
Okay, so every year, the town has to adopt general assistance guidelines that the state sends us. And they sent them to us this year, and they've been on file. And we have to have a public hearing if anybody has any questions on it.
So having said that, does anybody have any questions on the general assistance ordinance?
Where can I see that?
It's right in the office.
Okay.
And this is something we receive from the state.
Every year, we have to, they update their guidelines.
Yeah.
It tells us what we have to put for housing allotment to figure out what they're eligible for.
You guys have stuff on your website too that we can click on and look at too, right?
Say that again?
On the Newburgh website, we can go on there, PDF files and.
It's on the
Look at-
website, right?
Right,
Is the ordinance on the
Yeah.
website?
yeah.
We'll have to update it, but yeah.
Trying to inform everybody else that it's there.
Okay.
I should have been more direct.
So having, is that all set? Anybody else have anything on the, any questions on the general assistance ordinance? Okay, so I'm going to close the public hearing, and now we're going to vote to accept the ordinance.
You guys.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we vote to accept the general assistance ordinance for October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024. Second, all in favor? 3-0.
Here's the one you gotta sign. Now you can.
Okay, so, on that, any public comment? That's next on the agenda. That's all right, just pick another line.
Pick a line any line.
Pick a line, any line.
Read the directions.
I have a question, Renee.
Sure.
Are we gonna think about any ordinances for businesses that we might not want to come to town? Like cannabis, obviously everywhere.
We've already done that.
I was
You
saying,
have?
we've
Okay,
already
good.
got an ordinance for cannabis.
And what about you know how Bradford is going through that crazy
Housing,
housing situation out there? Have we done anything to make sure that?
the planning board is working on low-income housing. It came through the state, to,
I think theirs is more of people just, living in
they didn't have
tents
anything in
and-
place, period.
Yeah, so do we
So
have stuff?
the planning board is working with this
Okay, good.
Eastern Maine Development to get ours updated, but we do have something.
Good.
And the state has
The better ones.
removed a lot of,
Town's authority.
yeah, towns and authorities, just so you know.
Wow.
There's some bills that they passed. LD 2003 is one of them. So you just want to be aware. I mean, we try to be
Yeah.
aware of it, but
Yeah.
we don't really have any control over what they do in Augusta.
Yeah.
So they send it down.
That's actually, what we've written, or what we're writing now,
Right,
is actually a lot more restricting than what some of other ones are. Because you do have the ability to do that,
okay,
to write it in, and that's what we are doing
good,
as we.
good. Yeah, that's the planning board has taken them on.
Nice.
That's their job, so.
September 7th?
I'll move on to warrants. So, warrants, PY warrant number 11 for $17,171.38. PY warrant number 12 for $1,649.37. AP warrant number 13 for $16,606.57. PY warrant number 14 for $4,725.93. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the warrants as read.
Second.
Second, all in favor? 3-0. No abatements? Nope. Did you guys read the minutes? Is everybody comfortable with the minutes
Yep.
from 8:29 and 9:11?
Kudos to whoever did 9/11. That's really well
Yeah, they were good.
done.
Katie, is that you?
Stana, pick him up.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as written for 8/29/2003, 2023, and 9/11/2023.
Second.
Second, all in favor, 3-0. Agenda adjustment. We've already voted to accept I had vote to accept the ordinance, the new general assistance ordinance.
Right,
Did we just do that or no?
we already did it.
We already did it, I thought so.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all set. Okay, so we'll go right on to departments. Fire and Rescue September report.
Good evening. First of all, sorry for having such a short timeline on getting it to you. Mom caught me off guard today, this time, so. But Rescue had 11 calls again this month. Go ahead and say it, Brian. At what percentage? We hit 100% again for the third month in a row. We had a couple bad calls again this month that were not pleasing to deal with, but the guys done a great job. Fire, we had 9 calls between in town and mutual aid. We are actually pretty busy with mutual aid calls going out for structure fires, house fires, electricals, that kind of thing. And but as far as the month itself goes, we've done some training with Carmel on the EMS. We had an excellent trauma class that we went to for our CEHs, which is continuing education, and it goes towards our main EMS licensing to keep up to date with what they ask for. We have to have 44 credits to continue with our license biannually, so anything that we can do like that helps us out dramatically. So big thing that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention was that during the big storm on the 16th, I believe it was, the fire department stayed open, and I had guys that were willing to stand by. We did 8 hours with a full crew, and then myself and AC stayed on for the remaining 4 hours with just us there. We did an 8 to 8 coverage. We had a couple calls that came in that weren't toned out. We got them through phone calls direct, so we went out and handled them. The next morning we ended up with 2 calls that Sunday morning, which were paged out for trees down. But we really had considering everything, Newburgh had a pretty easy day and night, considering what the storm was supposed to be and what it ended up being. But it just goes to show the dedication that my guys have. It's amazing. I mean, to be there, ready to go, and willing to run on a dime to help somebody, and it's just mind-boggling at times of how dedicated these guys really are for this town. So, pretty much everything else stayed status. We went over to participate with the Carmel Day Parade on Saturday. About 10 minutes before the parade started, myself and Craig got called away on a medical call, so this will be the first time, and I can't even tell you how many years I didn't make the parade for Carmel,
Right.
because we had to head back to Newburgh to take a rescue call. But I'm assuming everything went well. It was a great turnout. It was huge.
Yeah.
It was
It
huge,
was
so
Great.
the month was, overall, was really good. I mean, the department did well.
Well, great guys, thanks for representing us so well. You guys do a great job.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Kurt.
Did you have anybody take advantage of you being open and so on?
We did not. I didn't receive any calls. I did, however, receive calls about us being there and thanking us for
Yeah.
being there. I had put it out on our Facebook page that the fire department would be open, would be accessible for anybody, and we would come pick people up if it was needed, if there was any troubles getting to and fro. And I got 3 or 4 calls after the weekend just saying thank you for the department for doing that. So in my mind, that means tenfolds of anything else, just having the people in town appreciate it and knowing that we were there for them.
And we had a chance to clean the equipment.
Yeah.
And just.
Yes.
We had a busy day.
And me and Sean got to take care of the first call by phone
Right.
because it was across from our,
Yes, I'm trying
it
to
was
get,
across from our house, so that's.
We also did go over and try the dry hydrant, the new dry hydrant. And that works excellent,
Oh, there.
perfect.
Yeah.
I got a question. Out of the $80,215.20 that was given, that the town got from the Corona's fund, how much of that went to the fire department for the dry hydrants?
There was 9,000 and change left for 2 last year when we looked into them. The price to do, I think it was 5 of them, 4 or 5 of them, ended up being a total of $10,000. And in a year's time, the prices had increased so bad that it was down to 2.
So how much did that sign cost?
What sign?
That sign we got out front?
Dwight, we take care of a whole town here. I mean, we have to allot some
I
stuff.
just asked,
Okay.
I just asked.
I don't know how much it costs.
35.
35,000.
Most of that went to roads.
To get in there,
To roads?
Most of the money went to roads,
Yeah.
yes.
what we classed as erosion control. Cleaning up ditches, grinding bushes out of the ditches, replacing culverts, keep the water running.
So we got all kinds of money left for our summer road maintenance then?
No,
I don't think so. Where are we going with this, Dwight?
Well, I was just wondering,
We're trying to do an overlay on the Lindsay Road. You could,
Yeah, there's 140,000
Right.
committed to a project that's coming this month.
right,
so you are gonna have work done this month?
Yes.
yeah.
Well, the meetings I've been to, I haven't heard no reports on from the road commissioners, so I was,
We put it on, we did it this past spring.
Tapley Farm Road and Chapman Road as
right,
well.
piece of the Tapley Farm Road and piece of the Chapman Road
Right.
and the Lindsay Road.
Chief,
And-
can I ask
And
you-
just to try to calm troubled waters. No, I'm just saying, just hear me out. So when they do the Tapley Farm Road, it happens to be right where this new dry hydrant is.
Mhm.
And there may be somebody here with special powers that may allow that to sneak out into that area so that that will be paved as well.
Oh.
So, right, that'll just be a added bonus.
I didn't wanna talk about roads, but anyways, we did, but.
Yes, Frank.
So I've got a couple more things I just want to add in. My apologies, because everything was going so quickly at the end of the month here. But we also had 461 and 464 pump tested. And K&T from Island Falls came down and did the pump test for us. And it passed, both trucks passed with flying colors. However, in saying that, and we're talking about dry hydrants, so you've been talking about the pond, about the water levels and what have you. So while I had him down there, we looked at the issue with 461 with the dry hydrant down here at the pond. 461 has a hard time priming and pulling water. So he used, when they do a pump test, they have to use their own equipment. They have to separate anything that we have away so that they can say all of their stuff either passed or failed the truck. So after it was over with, I had told him about what 461 was doing. We're going to look at a couple things on the truck itself, but he also said that we need to consider that we may have a crack in that dry hydrant somewhere that's pulling air. So
Not a chance.
Did you try it on the new one?
we took it from here, having an absolute nightmare of getting water, took it over to Tapley Farm Road, and it was instantaneous. We had water in 2 seconds, and it held 150 to 200 PSI and never missed a beat.
But 461's the only one that has a problem down here.
Yep.
So how can it be the pipe?
Well,
It can't be. It can't be.
So I am just letting you know, after I fix the truck side of it with the suction lines, I've got to check all of those fittings, make sure everything is tight, make sure all the clamps are seated up correctly. And then we're going to, I've talked to Pat, Pat's going to come back down on one of his trips when he's headed down. We're going to do a quick check on the truck itself and check all the valves, make sure everything is tight, everything is closed off, everything is working correctly. And then he's going to work with me on a suction day down here. I'm working on priming with 461 because he wants to see what it is doing off that hydrant. There's something that just isn't right. We don't know. And again, I'm not necessarily blaming the hydrant. I just going from the hydrant to the truck. Those are your 3 possibilities. You've got a hydrant, you've got a suction line, and you've got a truck. So there's 3 things there that something is not working 100% right with. And we're leaning more towards the trucks. I just wanted you guys to be aware of what I'm working into.
Do the hydrants have a check valve in them, or is it just free flowing?
I'm sorry.
They have a check valve on the hydrants, or it's just free flowing from?
There is not.
There's
flowing.
it's a
So
free
if you,
flow.
theoretically, if you took the truck and you hooked the hose up to the hydrant and pushed water back
through.
and we see turbulence somewhere before where it picks up, you'd say, okay, there's a crack in the line there? Or?
Well, what, you can't see it because obviously of the scheduled leading pipe and the way that it's made. I mean, everything goes underground. The problem that what he was looking at initially was, okay, are you guys losing too much friction loss with the elbows coming from the pond up? Is there something going on with the head assembly at the top side? Sure there's nothing loose on that. We checked that physically, and that wasn't the problem. The problem that we had the other night with that truck was I had 2 new guys on it. We were trying to show them how to prime water and then supply another truck. And the problem that we were having initially was that we were getting air in through the suction lines.
Okay.
And you could see the air bubbles. You could see the huge pockets. It wasn't unobvious. It was very obvious in front of us. Once we got it to bleed, but it took a while, we were able to pick up. Now, Dwight's correct. We've had 481 down here, which is Dixmont's truck to supply. We've never had them say anything about having a problem. However, 461 having the issue, once it bleeds out, once it gets past that point, it will hold water. So I don't know, I've never checked with Chris Easton to say, hey, has 481 had an issue initially on this hydrant, but you guys were able to get water flowing before the trucks got there to resupply. I will check with him because it's just part of what I'm going to do to eliminate all the options. But I'm just trying to let you guys.
We talked about that, having problems in that pond with the water coming back into the pond. I mean, maybe there's a bunch of sediment down there where the pickup is too, making it a little harder.
We've,
I'm not exactly sure how these are set up either. So.
When we took that pipe, out.
Yep.
Before we put it back in, we inspected the pipe to make sure there was no breaks or cracks in it before we put it in. Because there was no sense putting it in if it was broke.
Right.
And there was nothing wrong with that. And it's 3 feet off the bottom of
Okay.
the pond on an X brace.
Yeah.
So, and when you try to put, when you put water through it, that's how the pipe broke before.
Okay.
Come up and,
Brian, is that the only truck that you've got, the pump truck?
That's the only engine we have. We also have a tanker that also has a pumper tank. That one will pump water as well. And we can prime with that one without much of a problem.
no problem at all with
But
that.
we haven't used that truck hooked on there for a while.
At the pond?
Yeah,
So, but that one doesn't have an issue with the pond?
not as much as 61 does. That's why I said I need to take and eliminate the steps but 64 hasn't been down. The other thing I would like to talk to you guys about very quickly, just letting you know, while he was there, I took him into the pump house because, as you all know, we've got a pump house sitting down there that's been completely idle and it can't be used. And we have worked and worked and worked on that. And I brought him in to show him what I had for a setup. What we have down there is a CET pump with an exhaust prime, and it's only a 350 gallon pump. And I said right from the beginning it was way too small for that pump house. And I knew it was gonna be an issue. So we ended up hooking it up and getting everything put together, and it will not prime water. The exhaust prime style just won't work. Patrick looked at it, did some measurings and some figuring, and he said there's no way in hell this pump is ever gonna pump water from that pond to this pump and out to a truck. So we talked about options, and by the time we were done, the options were costing us more than a pump to replace it. Just because you need to take away the exhaust prime on it, do away with that system completely. You need to put an accessory primer on it. He prefers Hale, which is the best in the business. So he said, let's put a Hale primer on it and then hook that in. That alone is about $4,000. So
Could you put a report together and put it in for your next budget?
I certainly can.
You know, your next budget
Yeah.
round?
Yeah, I just wanted you to be aware that I am continually working on little things constantly that are not coming up to par
Yeah.
for us.
Okay, is that it, Brent?
That'll do it.
Did you have somewhat of an idea what a new pump costs?
He was gonna call, check for me and then call. The old pump that we had in there was a 500 gallon a minute pump. It ran off of an old military engine. It was a complete assembly like the old flat six.
Yeah.
So that one worked amazing. It doesn't have a lot of pressure, but it had a lot of good volume pull. So what he said with this one is even if he was able to work everything up to get the water to the pump, by the time it got to the truck, it wouldn't be pumping 200 gallons. And when you got a 150 gallon a minute pump, only pumping 200 out the line, that is absolutely useless because you just can't move enough water to make it worth its while. But on top of that, it would be a huge cost factor to even get it to that point. You would have $6,000 or $7,000 into it.
I don't think a drop of water's been run through that pump.
It hasn't.
That pump's still brand new.
Yep.
Yeah, pump probably still has some value too.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that, using it as a trade, and he told me the best bet for us would be to sell it and put it outright, because he would have to give us a low ball figure in order to make anything on the other end of it, and he does not want to do that to us because the pump is brand new. So.
Okay, thank you. Nothing for the library, nothing from animal control?
She did come in today, and she has promised me reports by the end of the week. She's just been really busy.
Okay. So you're up next?
Okay, so I gave you your monthly financial reports. I'm caught up on the bank statements. I don't know if you remember last meeting, the lady came in about the swings.
Yes, I do.
They're all painted. beautiful
Nice.
job, they look great.
Good.
She's actually gonna look into getting some more chips donated to go in around them.
Okay.
So, the other thing, and I have forgotten to tell you this, do you remember we had the, CDC inspection on the water? And there was a report, and there were, 2 or 3 things that we had to fix.
Right.
2 of the things that we had to fix was we had to replace the cap on the well and the, whatever that pipe is that
Right,
goes up in the cap.
It wasn't sealed, the
Right,
cap
it
was
needed to be
broken.
sealed.
Yeah.
The other thing we had to do was we had to reroute the drain in the roof that shoots out right on top of the well. So John, because we were reclassified by the CDC because there's more kids here now, we had to hire a water supervisor. He does the testing because the testing got more involved. And he actually volunteered to write, the gentleman from the CDC had given me the link to go on because the CDC water has grant money to help us with the repairs. So he went on and did the grant for $20,000. We couldn't get any engineering or architect to come out and do a design to
Right.
reroute that roof water.
Yeah.
We put it out to 4 or 5, got no responses. So what he did, he contacted the CDC and asked them if he could just contact a company for a gutter system.
Right?
So he did. They've got one out there and it has to be rerouted away from the well. So it comes off, comes down, goes down the side of the building and exits on the other side of the generator shed. So the second phase of that is right now it just spews out on the ground. So him and I were talking and the thought was to put in a catch basin with a pipe or a culvert going across the driveway while we've got the driveway all torn up. So I spoke with Jeremiah at Wellman's. I've spoken to Ed. We wanted to just go from where the pipe is over. Ed recommended coming right off the building, right down, but if something happens, we're afraid that if we have an inspection, they're gonna say, well, that's not getting the water away from the well. So, I talked to him again today, and I've got a call into Jeremiah to just a small catch basin with a pipe that goes across. It's gonna freeze up, there's nothing we can do about it, but we had to do what they told us. We had to correct.
If it freezes up, will it bubble up our new parking lot?
No, I don't believe so, it's gonna do it at the catch basin.
What were you trying to tell me? Blink twice if you're having trouble speaking.
Nope, I'm just waiting my turn for a change, I'm just waiting. So, yeah, I don't, so the whole F-type catch basin, I mean, I think you're talking an added expense that really doesn't need to be there.
Okay.
Because it's not, so the.
Could it be
thing-
done with a perforated pipe?
No, do it with a solid pipe. So what volume of water there comes off of that roof,
Right.
right? You could do a 6-inch, you could even do an 8-inch piece of SDR 35,
Yeah.
right? With pitch in it, because where that well is, if you go directly across the way, is the ditch line is there.
That's what I'm sitting here thinking, could we just put it into the ditch?
Absolutely.
And it would do a natural runoff?
That's what
Absolutely.
the question, that's what we plan on doing, but the question is, so the pipe right now, the generator shed sets like this.
Yeah,
The well sits on this side.
okay,
The pipe comes off the building, goes along the building and comes down this side
okay,
to get it away from the well.
right.
So the thought is originally to make so that pipe that he speaks of runs across the road into the ditch this way.
Right,
So, but what Ed recommended was where this comes off the building, comes down right here, comes around and goes this way with angles. He's recommending that we go straight off the
Right beside
initial
the well.
chute.
if you can get by the well without disturbing anything.
Well,
Oh,
that's the
absolutely.
thing.
There's plenty of
And it's
room.
not a perforated pipe, it's a solid pipe.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and just put, right, and just put enough pitch in it so the water doesn't sit in it and it's not gonna freeze anyway.
Right.
Because the problem is that this, I've seen it with working, this gutter with all of this configuration in it.
Yeah,
Right, the first time that the temperature is 30 degrees,
I would think a
That-
straight run would be a lot better.
and it's on the back side of the building that gets zero
right, so
sun,
north side.
not a lick.
Yeah,
Right, so, but being big enough, because the problem is gonna be being able to capture all of that water, because what they did out here, I don't know who engineered it, but what they put in there is not large enough to handle the water that comes off of that roof.
Right.
So that
was
just needs to
done
be,
years- Yeah,
right, that's correct. Right, and granted, a piece of SDR 35 running up the side of the building, 8-inch, something that's big enough to handle it would be unsightly, but something different needs to be done, because Cindy said that when you get a big rain, it blows
I
everywhere.
have seen it.
Right.
It's-
Well, that,
You
and
get a heavy rain,
With
it's a
the
lot of
new-
water.
Right.
the
And with that,
concern is if we bring it to this side of the building,
If the CDC,
if we have an inspection, they may not pay for it. That's what I'm saying, is when I talked to John today. But, for example, if that comes off and that freezes, you're gonna have a big layers of
It's
ice.
not gonna freeze, cause it's gonna be big enough that
Right.
it's gonna carry the water, and there's not gonna be.
But the
even
water
standing
running
water
off in it, that gutter's gonna freeze up.
The gutter's gonna freeze up anyway.
Right, but if
So even
it,
if we have it come down and go across, it's not gonna make any difference.
right, but if it comes down off the roof straight and comes down here, right beside the well,
Right.
and you've got 8-10 inches of ice building up there, and we have an inspection, they're gonna say, well, you didn't do what we told you to do. That's the concern. If it's over here, it's away from the well and there's,
Right, but aren't we feeding it into the pipe? Like, what, I don't understand.
right, you're coming down the building and you're going underground into a pipe, right?
directly,
It's big enough,
Directly,
it's
so there's
never gonna
a,
freeze
there's an
up.
elbow, there's the whole gig.
that's right.
And you've got a pitch.
Yeah, and even in the realm of water, so, like doing a dry hydrant, when you do a dry hydrant, you can't put a 90 in. Because, right,
It
because
stops.
that's right. So, even if we put a couple of 45s in it, but there's enough depth in that ditch over there
Yeah.
that you could put that far enough, you know what I mean? So that you'd still be able to put 45s in it, and that water isn't even gonna slow down, it's just gonna be
Right.
in the ditch and it's gonna be gone. So, go ahead.
No, continue.
So I understand what you're saying, you're worried about the CDC, you know what I mean, with this grant and not paying for it, but I would think that because obviously they must know something about water, you know what I'm saying? So when they come and see what you've done, they're gonna think that that's
Right, a hard pipe might be even
100%
better
better
than
than,
a gutter.
right, because, but even putting it into a, like a F-type catch basin, just a 2-foot square one, you know what I mean? It's really, you're not taking any surface water in, so there's no need for a sump in it, you know what I mean? And that would be one more way for it to freeze up.
And, yeah.
Correct, with the open air, you know what I mean? And with it being like it is, the water's just gonna hit it and it's gonna be gone. But in lieu of that, something does need to be different in their downspout that they have, that certainly needs to be something different. you know?
Needs to be bigger or
Right, it's
stronger.
definitely too small.
Right, and even if they did, and if they went with Schedule 40 pipe, something that's, you know, a little more rugged, you know what I'm saying? And again, it could be, but it's no big deal to paint it, you know what I'm saying? Right, I mean, it's a down pipe that they're looking for, so.
And what kind of costs are we talking about? You got a grant for 20,000.
Oh, to put this pipe in,
Yeah. I wouldn't think a few pieces.
$300?
Right, the pipe's expensive now, but,
$400?
okay.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
you
you
go for
know,
the 8-inch, it's more than that, it's about $200 a piece, I deal with this. But we shouldn't put a basing, we shouldn't waste our money on catch basins. That's just, it freezes. I got plenty in the city. 8-inch pipe, like you said, and plus you got plenty of pitch in the back. If you put it low enough, it won't disturb your new hot top you're gonna put on top.
right,
And it won't freeze if it's deep enough, maybe
Right.
towards the beginning, but if you got 8-inch, and in my book, when water comes down, it doesn't freeze when it goes down, it usually freezes when it's flat.
When it's light.
Right, when it's frozen.
Yes, so,
So it-
I mean, I think the town, maybe I'm stating, could absorb the cost, it wouldn't be more. I mean, the other week I quoted a couple of quotes for 8-inch PVC, and it's $200 a link.
Yeah.
That's the green pipe, the sewer pipe.
oh, yeah.
It's a little bit more money.
SDR 35, yeah.
It's a little bit more money, but, I mean, it wouldn't cost 20 grand.
Right.
Oh, yeah, no,
So you're
Yeah.
looking maybe what, $1,000 bucks?
Well, we've
Yeah.
already paid for the gutter system.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, Cindy, a catch basin ain't the option.
Nope.
I've been bringing schools and buildings in Bangor, we're just wasting money,
Just bring it straight down into a pipe.
straight down the pipe.
It'd be like dumping your gutter into a culvert.
correct,
and run it
That's
across the
basically
road.
what you're making, yep.
right. And it wouldn't do any good to insulate it, because it's gonna be just like a culvert, that cold air is gonna come into it anyways, you know what I'm saying? So insulation isn't an issue either, you know what I mean, it's not even feasible, wouldn't really help.
You don't think it would freeze? You guys don't think it would freeze?
No, not if it's pitching the pipe.
It's a pretty F-type basing, by the time it hits the basing, it's gonna be frozen.
Right.
I got probably 200 K park, and every storm in the wintertime, or out there bags of calcium feeding those F-types. I'll be nice, I'll use good language about it.
The F-type in general.
Okay. So where were we going with this? I
Well-
say, a couple of things. I would take this recommendation. I would put, even if
I'm kinda torn because I got
the CDC
John
on
and
it.
I got Ed and
Right. When is the CDC coming back?
they
to-
come every year.
Okay.
They come every year.
It's a sealed system though.
Yeah,
It's
they just asked it for be away from the well, right? And if it's enclosed in something else and it's away from the well,
Well-
they shouldn't have a problem.
They shouldn't have a problem. You're talking
But
about
yeah,
the
the
government.
CDC, yes, I know.
You're talking about
When you
the
said
government.
it, I'm like, oh shit.
But is there gonna be separation between
That's
Put
why
the pipe out
culvert that it's in and the well?
somewhere.
I mean, it's,
Holy
just like you said, it's a piece of solid pipe.
I mean, if they show up and say, you know,
Oh,
that
I know.
this
The
is what we
funny part,
do.
the funny
We're
part
gonna
is,
find
it's
you
either running out
I
down the
know.
water, or it's going in the ditch over here, it's all
Till
going
you
to the
get it
same place.
fixed.
Right.
It's all in front of the groundwater.
Well, that's what I
I
said as
know.
well, you know?
It's crazy.
It's not like there's a pond there where it just gathers up and runs
Right.
directly into the stinking well.
Jeez.
Your thoughts?
I'm going with these guys that work with it,
Yeah.
I think. I understand Cindy's point, if
I'll talk to John one more time and explain coming, so it's coming down and an elbow out.
Is John, like, who is this John?
He's our water supervisor.
Is he a local fellow?
Yeah, lives in
Yeah.
town,
Like,
Newburgh.
so, would it be,
Spit it out, Ed, spit it out.
so would it be better maybe for me to explain it
I was
to him?
gonna
That's
say,
exactly
I mean, I'm
maybe
not
we should
saying
talk
that you
to-
can't, but you know what I mean?
Let somebody that's done it talk to him.
I'll ask him. He was in this morning and cause we met the other day. He had some concerns about it not getting away from the well.
Yeah. Well, I can understand that, but I have more concerns about gutter and gutter and gutter into a catch basin.
Yeah.
That's a lot of moving water.
Yeah,
And
so
there's
I'll
a-
try to set up.
And
a
that
meeting.
is the north side, that's the north side of the building,
Yeah.
so it's going to be
Yep.
cold, yeah. So just tell
I'll,
them,
I'll set up a meeting, I'll try to get him to meet with Ed and I.
okay, all right.
So,
Okay, single audit.
yes, so because we're gonna be eventually getting this $1 million, we are required to do what they call a single audit next year.
Okay.
So I have put out an RFP because we're still in an agreement with the current auditor for 1 more year.
Right,
So I have put out an RFP for just the single audit. Don't ask me what a single audit is, I don't
Okay.
have a clue.
all right.
But I just wanna let you know that I am,
I would assume it's, you took the money in and you did the right
it's
thing.
a one-time deal.
Yeah.
We don't have to do it again, we only
And
have
it's
to do it.
because of this grant money?
It's because of the $1 million, yes. Anything over $750,000 you have to do. I've got a couple of replies, that I've gotta get back to them, but,
Okay, all right.
the other thing I wanna talk to you about is the Littlefield Bridge.
The Littlefield Bridge.
So about a year ago, we got a notification from the state of Maine. They do bridge inspections every year. And they had one concern, and I called them and I'm going, well, that's private property. I don't know what it is to us. Well, we just wanted to let you know. So I got the same report this year. I called them. So the Littlefield Bridge, there is a gentleman that lives right just before it on, if you're headed down Littlefield, on the left. I wrote his name down, but I can't remember. But anyway, he has the bridge sits here, his yard is right here. And he has or had a nice manicured wall down to the brook. Well, the wall's fallen down and the state's telling me now that when that retaining wall collapses, it may compromise the bridge.
Meaning it could plug up the bridge, is that what they're saying?
All they're saying is compromise the bridge.
Compromise bridge.
No, it's on the outgoing side.
Right,
so
it's
it's
on
on
the-
the-
it's on the downstream side.
Right.
What did they want us to do
No.
anything?
No, they just wanted to make us aware of it. That's why I'm coming to you.
Okay.
I'm just talking about erosion wise.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
Some materials
You'll
that
know
come
that,
down, but
truck goes over, goes.
Could we rip wrap it right there? Could we?
We'd have to do his whole front yard.
We would have,
That's a long stretch, as I recall.
It is.
We'd have to do his whole yard.
I know right where you mean though, it's just,
I mean, we can leave it if it's on the downhill side. I don't know what it's gonna do to compromise the bridge. We could hire somebody to tell us what possibly could happen.
Like the abutments that are on the bridge, I don't think that would be the issue, but it would behoove him to have it fixed because he's gonna lose a lot of land. Cause it's straight railroad ties, old railroad ties, and they're
Yeah.
just, right, yeah. Yeah, it's not,
So,
it's not.
when I
good.
talked to him, he asked me if we had any money to fix it. No,
That's where we're going.
So how does that work?
Yeah.
Where that's not in the right of way, the town right of way, and it's private
It
property?
should be his responsibility.
Cause I'm sure that,
How was he allowed to do it in the first place?
well, that's the whole thing, that's correct.
Yeah,
Unless it's been there that long, you know what I mean,
Oh,
before
yeah.
DEP and shoreline zoning come into play.
Oh, yeah.
had to be. Yeah.
so,
That's,
I just bringing it to your attention. I
Okay.
mean, we don't have a lot of money to do anything to do with it.
right.
I don't know what an opinion would cost us.
But
I
we should
think-
probably just go have a look at it to begin with
Yeah, I would say, I think
and go from there.
an engineering opinion would probably add,
It might be overkill at this point.
yeah.
Does the report, Cindy, say that if the wall gives? I mean, that it's going to affect the support of the bridge, or is it just saying that there's a possibility of erosion from that wall?
It just says a compromise.
Right, it doesn't say
It
anything.
may
That's a
compromise.
great, that's a great way of putting something for you guys.
It's not compromised yet, so.
Yeah, we would like you to fix this.
We'd like you to fix it, but we can't tell you why. Or what it's gonna do.
So,
Probably call the state, yeah, it has it.
and
So, thank you for letting us know.
Okay.
Okay.
my last thing, is the Knowlton Cemetery survey.
Okay.
I have Ian surveying lined up to come do. It's gonna cost us between $4,000 and $5,000. But they've got the
Surveys.
property on the market, so we need to get it done
Yeah.
before they sell the property. So he should be, and he did the Myron Smith lot
Okay.
survey for that piece that Myron gave the town, so it's gonna be,
He's familiar with it.
yes, he has a lot of paperwork done,
Okay.
so.
Okay, under old business, sand shed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So
let
did
me
read
find
it.
out.
Yeah.
I met with Jeff and Keith from Plymouth Engineering, Jeff Brown and Keith. The concrete is salvageable, or the majority of it. There's one corner right on the front by the ramp that needs repair.
Yeah?
But the rest of it, he said, should be fine.
I did email, Darren, and I'm waiting to hear back on it for the price. They're kind of, Darren and his wife, Crystal, run everything. I mean, he's literally
Yeah.
driving truck and she's doing everything else,
Yeah.
and so.
I have a question on those. Those are like a sheathing over a frame?
Yeah, it's a aluminum frame.
Like a tarp material?
I think
It's
it's,
heavier than that.
yeah, I think it's like the
Yeah.
bubble,
Yeah.
you know the bubbles that they put up? I'm assuming, no,
So-
bubbles were
It's
more
just
rubber.
like Smith's thing up here, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
Yeah,
like, it's just like Pete
Horse
Smith's arena.
Yeah.
and then if ever something happens, to we'll call the canvas, whatever we wanna call it. If the frame is still not compromised, you can always put a
Right.
cover on it.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's it's cheap, I guess, compared to what Darren said.
Crystal did say to me that some people were buying the frames, putting the sheathing on the side and putting metal on the roof. And so you do have options there. I mean, you
Okay.
could start out with the sheeting, and then if years down the road you had to revamp it, you could put metal on the roof and new sheeting on the sides,
Okay.
something like that.
So, Jeff asked me, there's like 3 different options that that are available with him. They're evidently doing, arches. But it's cheaper to do like a stick built with beams, which gives you more headroom, which would be,
A wood frame?
yeah.
We could do some comparison pricing.
Well, that's what he wanted me to ask. Do you want him to price them out for us?
I suppose I mean,
To get an idea.
to get an idea, I mean, you should look at, I think we should look at all the options.
Yeah?
What, did they say anything about the cost of repairing the concrete and,
No.
no, nothing like that? Could we spray the concrete again? Did they, did we talk about the salt on the concrete at all?
No.
All right, yeah, I mean, if he wants to, I'm assuming this is on for next year's, we're doing planning now for next year.
If you want it to be, yeah.
Well, it's October, I don't know if we're gonna,
Yeah, it's kinda gotta be, we're gonna fill that sand shed pretty quick.
yeah, that's
Jeff
it.
said they
yeah.
could do it this winter, with the sand in there.
Sand can't get wet, can it?
Yeah, it can. They have piles all over the place out in the weather.
Target.
You can tarp it
Very
over.
good, yeah.
I just don't think we'd wanna do it this winter.
Yeah,
That's the last thing I wanna do.
really know
It'd
is
be
that.
worse,
No.
or
It's not like
trucks.
the sand shed is half collapsed now and we don't have options.
Okay,
You know what I'm
we
saying?
have time.
Yes. And I would fill the sand shed and use the sand shed as a sand shed. I mean, I'm, right?
And then empty, What I'm thinking is you empty it in the spring.
That's correct.
You take off the
There you go.
structure.
That's right.
You clean up your concrete, and then you put your new structure on,
Yep.
all in, like,
Yeah,
And bada bing, you're
All
brand
through
new
summer
next
months
year.
when
that
it's
makes
nice out and.
sense.
Yes, that's my thought,
Mm-hmm.
because we're,
I
I
hate
mean,
to,
we're,
I hate to start anything going into winter.
yeah.
Mhm.
And besides that, where are you gonna put the sand pile?
Right.
What if we get an early storm?
Right.
Then we gotta work
You know what I
around,
mean?
somebody working around it.
Yeah,
I did ask Keith about, the thing the insurance company asked, and he said no.
What was
So-
that? What was that?
That
Yeah.
he'd give an opinion that the building would be okay. He walked all the way around.
But, yeah, let's get some estimates, let's put this together and put it on the schedule for next year. You know, and then if we need to put it into the budget, you know, or we need to, I'd probably like to do it in spring or summer.
well, and that
but
would,
You'd have to go to the town.
and my suggestion might be to call around a few of these towns local, because a lot of them have new sand sheds.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's
That's
been,
true.
you know, and
Yeah, they just
buy-
did one down in Unity.
That's right,
Yeah.
yeah,
See.
Thorndike just did one. Yeah,
I
Holden did one.
talked to Ben,
Well, he's done a lot of homework on it,
so,
pricing things
Yeah,
out, so.
same thing she's going through with Darren, so.
Well,
Yeah.
we're going through a
Holden's
decision.
was almost 800,000,
because,
or
yeah,
over
yeah,
800,000.
we bid that with Nixon on
I
that.
wonder how much Thorndike's was.
I will call and find out.
Right,
Yeah.
that would be, yep. And what they did, you know,
They put theirs is a foundation and stick built with metal framing and.
Thorndike's was,
I'm pretty sure. Thorndike, Unity.
Maybe we
Thorndike.
could
Thorndike.
yeah, because
We
that's-
rode down through there.
yeah, because that's where, yes, because we paid.
Down by the railroad track,
yeah.
through there.
Yeah, because Earl was building it, and that is stick built.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see, you know, what that, well, how they did come in price
Yeah,
wise.
yeah. I
The
mean,
only thing we gotta be careful with wood is when you haul your sand in, you don't have always the best temperature. Sometimes you haul it, the guys haul it when it's wet, so you get moisture in the sand, it takes forever to get out. So where's the moisture go? It's gonna go on your walls, it's gonna roughen your walls.
right, right.
So regardless if you put metal inside, it's just gonna go through it.
Right.
Because sometimes you got a steel building and you'll look at the walls and they'll be wet, but it'll last longer than a stick built, so.
Right.
You gotta think of the long,
Yeah,
down
yeah.
the road.
Yeah.
Longevity.
Yeah, thanks, I couldn't spit that out.
So, yeah, we would take a
Too long for a Frenchman to say.
price from him and then we can start doing, I'll get a price from Darren and we can just make a plan for it.
So, do we wanna go
For what
Wood,
he's
metal,
suggesting, he is
everybody,
suggesting.
he said that the going thing now is those arches with the metal on them.
Yeah.
Call around.
But he was gonna find out if he could get them as wide as we need them.
Oh, yeah, that's a big spot.
And if we do that, then we have to add concrete to what we have on either side.
And you know, a one-sided,
One-sided concrete, I guess, is not I wish, I'm glad Chris isn't here.
right, one-sided concrete wall is not ideal.
No, it's not fun.
And you know what, it's just as
Costs a lot of money.
expensive, right, it's just as expensive, if not more so, than
Then starting
new
fresh.
foundation. Yeah.
That's
Because you're
what they
really,
said.
it's a lot of labor.
Yeah.
A one-sided wall is a lot of labor.
Yep.
Okay. So, having said that, Keith said they could get a metal arch.
No, they're wooden arches.
They're wooden arches.
They're wooden arches with metal on them.
And no, what did Jeff say?
That's when Jeff piped up and they discussed
The
the
stick,
stick-built square metal roof.
How old is this sand shed now?
God,
Any
we
idea?
figured almost 20 years. 20,
More than that.
more than that.
More than that.
Yeah.
Jeff said he moved here in 1980 and it was here.
As I say, it's been around longer than I have.
Me too, when I
So
was
30
50.
years.
Yeah. So,
I mean, there's sites online, you go research, before I found what Darren offered for cheaper, there's some sites, the same building we have there, and they
That's
got
right.
quotes right online, it's kits.
Yeah.
You got to find contractors in town
They're
to
selling the
build that.
Freiburg Fair today.
And you can
Yeah.
even buy by the ripple, by the feet we want, and everything else.
I'm just wondering what kind of maintenance is gonna have to happen to these tarps, because you guys are there all the time, so if it builds up, you can clean up the side. That doesn't happen down there.
Yeah, but
That
I'm not talking
building's
about tarps right now, I'm talking
Oh.
about the same building we
Yeah,
have.
what we got now.
The same
The
quantity.
metal,
Yeah,
There's kits online, you'll see them
Yeah.
$35,000
Yeah,
for
they
a
bolt
kit.
together, it's not
Yeah.
rocket science.
And then you find somebody to,
Yeah,
Yeah,
find
put
a
it together.
local contractor to do it. There's many ways you can go by this.
Like the old barn raisins, but we can have a ones that hot building for the town.
yeah, there you go.
Alright.
Put the bed liner to it up
You
there.
can
Get
design
enough
a
of
ladder
us
truck.
together.
that tarp one,
Fire
that-
garnish.
you talked to him about, that was the concern I had on that.
Shit, they haven't done it in the weekend.
So if that,
Get the
You
Amish
guys are-
involved.
you guys
the
are-
snow buildup on the sides of it,
yeah.
when it falls down, like they're there all the time.
Right, I
with
know
the
where
other
you're going,
clean-
yeah, I know what you're
You know,
saying.
I mean, we don't have that option.
Right, a heavy wet snow on that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
No,
What's the dimensions of the slab that we have there, the building that's there now? Anybody know?
50 by 120, or 125.
So it's pretty easy to find it
See, the
online.
I told him
contract,
50 by 100.
the contractor does it right now, he plows the driveway anyways. Same thing we do in our shop with the one we have right now, the old, it's the same buildings we have here for the city. We go around, make sure the snow comes off the roof, it goes away.
Yeah, but we can't get up there.
No, but I mean, if you plow around it, nothing sticks to that, it comes right out, same,
Yeah, it does anyway. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no snow hangs out there.
yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
So,
Shit's tight.
Yeah,
Well, we
if it
can do
does,
2 or 3 things.
Yeah.
We've got time.
Yep.
Our building is fine for this winter.
Yep.
So we can start looking into Quonset hut compared
Yep.
to stick built, compared to the frame, you know, the aluminum frame building,
Yep,
you know, and see, it'd be, if you don't mind calling Thorndike, I think that they
yep, I have,
had quite a building there too. It was, I mean, I think their concrete above grade was, I think they had 8 feet above grade. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They had a lot of concrete above grade.
Yeah.
There's a big thick wall there. I mean, it would
Yeah.
last.
They may be even calling another outfit as far as getting a price too,
Yeah,
like Todd Hardy or, you know,
yeah.
Right.
I don't know who put that up down there.
this one.
Yeah, in Thorndike.
Oh,
No.
Earl Grover, believe it or not.
Earl Grover?
Yeah. Yeah, him and his band of misfits, but
Isn't he
Yeah.
one? He just did Plymouth Fire Station, I believe. Earl Grover, same one.
Ralph McNaughton does a lot of that stuff
Yeah.
too.
yeah, that's who, yeah.
So, like I said, I think that, I think it should be an ongoing project is where I'm
Yep.
going with this.
yep,
And, we'll make a request to Angus King to, give us a grant for it.
yay.
Help us, please.
Anyway, okay, so let's move on.
Okay.
This fire station grant, we're all set there.
Get an update, so I'm still working on paperwork,
Okay.
still, it's still out there.
Lord,
We're waiting for 2 or 3 things, and then I'll have my final inspection. But, I had to call because the handicap parking has to be van accessible. So I called the striping company, they're gonna come back and do a stripe
Big
on the other
area.
side and then write van.
okay.
And the load rating is on the mezzanine, so that's done. The electrical, there's a couple of things gotta be done with the electrical and the stamp drawings.
Okay.
And then I've got some paperwork, into Jeff's office. And I have to say, they have been a saint. This is not what they signed up for.
Yeah,
The amount of paperwork that they've had to do and go backtrack. Usually they go into something like this,
Yeah.
knowing they've gotta do this.
yeah,
And they have been great.
yeah.
And
Very,
doing
that's
it.
very good.
So,
Okay. The only other thing we have is the building security system update. I just got that, initial one from the lawyer. I passed that on to you guys. I'd like to revamp it a little bit, because then I read this one, this policy, and I just think it needs a few more paragraphs. If you give me some time, I'll work it out with Tim, come up and I'll send you guys copies. Is that all right? I mean, this is like, I feel like this is
Basic.
basic. I feel like this is much better, and I want to combine the two. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, sometimes basic is good.
Yeah,
I'll remember that.
I will. You'll tell me. So having
I feel like
said,
they gave us just about everything we needed. What's the other one you have?
that was the one that we,
I think I saw the other one.
that one that covers a little bit more.
That was the sample that I gave you.
Oh, okay, originally?
Yeah,
Yeah. I won't get into too in depth, I promise. But I'm personally not comfortable with 3 paragraphs,
Okay.
okay? They're short paragraphs too,
Oh, no, I read it.
so,
I read it. I just
Oh, I'm sure
I
you
didn't
did.
know what else other than, you know, what, if you violate terms.
right,
what
there's
happens.
nothing in there for that.
Other than that, that was the
Yeah.
one thing that I would add.
Yeah, yeah. So I
We
just
don't need to
wanna,
make it too overly complicated.
no,
think.
I won't. I
Basic
just
is
wanna
good.
cover all the bases.
Right? And then everybody knows what it is, and nobody has to.
There's been no questions. Renee, can I throw one more thing at you guys, just out of
Real quick.
for the new business? An update on 466. We went down to Bushards the other day. We have decided, instead of swapping out trucks like we had originally talked about, Dwight did some research and we found a factory rebuilt transmission that will fit our truck. So we went down and talked to Wayne about it and showed him the numbers and all of that stuff. And the figures on it figure out to about $1,440 to have it shipped directly right to Wayne's garage. So he is 100% for that and putting a new transmission into our truck with no charge. And he's going to buy the transmission. So the only thing that I just want you guys to know is the only thing that we have found on it, Dwight, it was a real seal on 466.
Yeah.
On the front end, we had a wheel seal that is leaking. And that's due to primarily from it setting for so damn long. The wheel seal is dried up. So we're gonna have to replace the wheel seal. I am not asking Wayne to do that. That is out beyond the scope of putting the transmission in for us for free. So I will have to put that through on my budget. But I just want you guys to be aware that there's a wheel seal and I need 2 new batteries in order for it to run, because those batteries are long since dead. And then 1 battery for the pump assembly. So I just want you guys to be aware of what I'm working into an amount figure for 66.
Can you get us an amount before we okay work?
You can, it's gonna be well below the amount of money that I'm authorized to do. It's not gonna meet the $2,000 that I am authorized to do. I just wanted you guys to be aware of what I have found while we've been looking at the truck on top of getting everything else done. Wayne is also, yeah, Wayne also is coming out to move the truck out of the fire station because it's still sitting up in the old station. Dwight and I have got to go up and dump the water tank because it still has water sitting in it. And he's moving that obviously down to his shop so that it'll be out of here. Because with the sale thing going on, I didn't want the truck to become an issue.
Right.
So, and he's doing that obviously free of charge as well. So he's still far and exceeding doing something for us that nobody else would do. I mean, what he's doing for us is just far beyond. But I just wanted you guys all to be aware of what we're working on now. And I'm much happier because this truck is 10 times the truck that we were going to have to look into swapping with as another military truck, because we're going from a 5-ton back down to a 2.5, and I did not want to do that. So I just want you guys all to be aware.
Okay.
I can't do the work on that truck, can I? Because of insurance?
Yes, sir.
If I get my own insurance, can I work on it? I can do it a hell of a lot cheaper.
I don't know the answer to that,
Yeah.
right, I'd have
Put
to.
that in the end.
Should be, yes, if I get my own insurance.
Wheel seal. Because it's not part of the deal. Make the
It's still-
transmission. That
It's
was,
still like, that's like a subcontractor though, that falls into a different category. I mean, when we start taking in insurances and that sort of thing. It complicates matters, I'll say it like that. It's a municipality, it's not a private entity, so it's different. It is 7:30 and I am going to make a motion. I'd like to go into executive session per MRSA number 1, section 405-6-A, personnel matter. All in favor? Okay. Thank you all very much.
Somebody have a pen, I just lost an engine. Okay. Very, was it your pen?
That was the sample that I gave you.
Oh, okay, originally?
Yeah.
Yeah. I won't get it too in depth, I promise. But I'm personally not comfortable with 3 paragraphs,
Okay.
okay? They're short paragraphs too,
Oh, no, I read it.
so.
I read it. I just
Oh, I'm
didn't,
sure
I
you
didn't know
did.
what else other than, you know, what, if you violate terms. what
Right,
happens, but
there's nothing in there for that.
Other than that, that was the
Yeah.
one thing that I would add.
Yeah, yeah. So I
We
just
don't
wanna,
need to make it too overly complicated.
no,
Yeah.
I won't, I
Basic
just
is
wanted
good.
to cover all the bases.
Right? And then everybody knows what it is, and nobody has to.
there's been no questions. Renee, can I throw one more thing at you guys, just?
Real quick.
For the new business. An update on 466. We went down to Bushards the other day. We have decided, instead of swapping out trucks like we had originally talked about, Dwight did some research and we found a factory rebuilt transmission that will fit our truck. So we went down and talked to Wayne about it and showed him the numbers and all of that stuff. And the figures on it figure out to about $1,440 to have it shipped directly to Wayne's garage. So he is 100% for that and putting a new transmission into our truck with no charge. And he's going to buy the transmission. So the only thing that I just want you guys to know is the only thing that we have found on it, like it was a wheel seal on 466.
Yeah.
On the front end, we had a wheel seal that is leaking. And that's due to primarily from it setting for so damn long. The wheel seal is dried up. So we're gonna have to replace the wheel seal. I am not asking Wayne to do that. That is out beyond the scope of putting the transmission in for us for free. So I will have to put that through on my budget. But I just want you guys to be aware that there's a wheel seal and I need 2 new batteries in order for it to run, because those batteries are long since dead. And then 1 battery for the pump assembly. So I just want you guys to be aware of what I'm working into an amount figure for 66.
Can you get us an amount before we okay work?
You can, it's gonna be well below the amount of money that I'm authorized to do. It's not gonna meet the $2,000 that I am authorized to do. I just wanted you guys to be aware of what I have found while we've been looking at the truck, on top of getting everything else done. Wayne is also,
Yeah.
Wayne also is coming out to move the truck out of the fire station because it's still sitting up in the old station. Dwight and I have got to go up and dump the water tank because it still has water sitting in it. And he's moving that obviously down to his shop so that it'll be out of here. Because with the sale thing going on, I didn't want the truck to become an issue.
Right.
So, and he's doing that obviously free of charge as well. So he's still far and exceeding doing something for us that nobody else would do. I mean, that, what he's doing for us is just far beyond. But I just wanted you guys all to be aware of what we're working on now. And I'm much happier because this truck is 10 times the truck that we were going to have to look into swapping with as another military truck, because we're going from a 5-ton back down to a 2.5, and I did not want to do that. So I just want you guys all to be aware.
Okay.
I can't do the work on that truck, can I? Because of insurance?
Yes, sir.
If I get my own insurance, can I work on it? I can do it a hell of a lot cheaper.
I don't know the answer to that, Dwight, I'd have
Put
to.
that in the end.
Should be, yes, if I get my own insurance.
We'll see. Because it's not part of the deal. Make the
So-
transmission, that
It's
was,
still like, that's like a subcontractor though, that falls into a different category. I mean, when we start taking in insurances and that sort of thing. It complicates matters, I'll say it like that. It's a municipality, it's not a private entity, so it's different. It is 7:30 and I am going to make a motion. I'd like to go into executive session per MRSA number 1, section 405-6-A personnel matter. All in favor?